going on, fam? This is Raul from QB and Kennels. I'm about to drop the information on the Merles. Just want to let you know this was a video we did about a year ago. I went ahead and shortened it from about an hour and 15 minutes all the way down to under 16 minutes to give you the information you need.
So basically, what ends up happening with a Merle is that this particular gene, instead of expressing himself like they normally do, it basically morphs. It's changed. Some people call it an incomplete protein. So it could be 79% of what it needs to be. It could be 30% of what it needs to be. But bottom line, it's not a full gene. It's not a full gene expression. A lot of people just look at the coat and think, okay, well, this is the pattern that I'm looking for. But you got to also understand that this particular gene, when it doesn't express itself, it does it for the entire body, organs inside as well. So it's really important that you pay attention as to why it is that we don't breed double Merles. What ends up happening is when you have that one gene that has morphed or is incomplete, however you want to call it, what happens is the expression is like a splash expression throughout the coat. And I'm going to talk about the coat because as a phenotype, that's essentially what we're looking at. And so every time that code comes up, essentially, that incompleteness, that the parts of the incomplete gene are pretty much going to express as a splash on the coat. And therefore, it is a pattern. Merle is not a color. Okay. I've had several of you write to me asking, can I get a Merle if I have a Trindle, if I have a Tri, if I have this, if I have a Lilac, if I have this, that, and the other. You could essentially have a Merle pretty much with every color. I will tell you that its greatest expression or its most intense expression is from some sort of black, even if it's black diluted, not too diluted, but black diluted, which gives you blue, or red, which is also called chocolate. Any form of that, or even diluted, will give you a Merle. The Merle pattern will show up most intensely. We're going to get into phantom Merles and into cryptic Merles, which are actually dogs that don't show on their coat, the Merle pattern. However, they're carrying a dominant Merle gene. So let me get into this part real quick. So in this particular graph, and you have a letter A, you have a letter B, and you have a letter C. On the letter A, you have a normal or a non-Merle, and that is to be bred to a Merle dog. Okay, so non-Merle to a Merle dog. If you could see closely, that dog is actually a Tri. Okay, but underneath it, you have NN, meaning it is a non-Merle carrier, doesn't have it as a dominant or as a recessive in any form. Okay, however, if you look at the Merle, like I told you earlier, the Merle dog over here, let's call him the dad. You see he has a dominant M, and that's all you need. Whether you have a smaller M or an N or whatever, it doesn't matter. Once that's there, he's a Merle. This right here, if you were to ask me, letter A here is the safest and healthiest and most ideal way to breed Merles. Now, I'm gonna explain to you other ways that could be done, but this is the cleanest in my opinion. As you can see, the result of this breeding is going to be 50% Merles, 50% non-Merles. It's pretty straight up, man. You have 10 pups, 5 are going to be Merles, 5 are not. End of story. So it's very, very straight up in this particular breeding. Now, when we move over here to the letter B, as you can see, if you were to breed a Merle dog to another Merle dog, which is exactly what I tell you not to do, as you can see here, their expression, you got to have that dominant M and a dominant M here, regardless what follows it as a recessive. And so when you run the Punnett square, essentially, you're going to have one dog that's going to be non-Merle, okay, and one dog actually 2 dogs that are going to be Merles. The problem comes in this dog right here. 25% of the puppies out of that litter are going to have 2 dominant Merle genes, MM, capital M, capital M. As you can see, this dog that's lying down does not look Merle. He actually looks white. Okay. Basically, the Merle pattern affects the melanin And over here, you've pretty much multiplied it exponentially because you bred dominant Merle to dominant Merle, and this puppy got both sides of it. This is a double Merle. This puppy right here is probably going to grow up with some sort of hearing problem, if not deafness, eyesight problems, if not blindness. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be known for producing dogs that are deaf and blind. Not only that, if you're only in it for the money, you're going to soon realize that deaf and blind dogs are not necessarily going to sell for top price. This is definitely not the way to go. And here's another tidbit I want you to see. If you look at A, you're essentially going to have 2 Merle dogs. And if you look at B, you're essentially going to have 2 Merle dogs. So you're not necessarily increasing the amount of healthy Merle dogs. Yes, you have one other Merle dog, but it's probably going to be handicapped. So that's something that you definitely don't want to do. Let me jump over here to C, and this is where we get into the whole cryptic Merle. Now, I don't want to get too much into the whole ghost and phantom. Some people state it as, being born as Merle, and then with time, essentially because the length of the Merle gene expression that they have inside of them is not long enough, as they grow, it almost seems like the Merle fades away. But in essence, they were Merles to begin with. But I'm not going to get too far into that. Just know, if your dog is cryptic Merle, phantom or ghost, essentially what it means is they're not Merle enough, if you will. The length of the hair that's actually going to have the melanin of the Merle's expression is not long enough. And therefore, you're going to have a dog that looks just like this. But when you test, it's going to show up as MC, okay? For the C for cryptic, okay? If that is bred to a Merle dog, okay, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get one normal dog. Essentially, it's going to look non-Merle on the outside, and when you genetically test, it's going to be NN. Then you're going to have another cryptic Merle dog, which will represent as MC, or capital M, lowercase c, and N. By the way, this particular dog, if bred to a non-Merle, can produce a Merle. Just want to throw that out there. And then you're going to actually have a Merle here, just what you would call, I guess, a regular Merle that would have a dominant M gene. And then you'll have a double Merle, but it's cryptic. If you notice, this Merle dog right here looks just like this Merle dog right here. Nothing to do with this white one laying down right here. Okay, and the fact that the melanin in this dog is not affected as it would be with this dog right here means that its hearing and eyesight is going to be good for 96%, meaning you're only running a 4% risk of actually producing a dog that's either deaf or blind. I don't want to go out there and say that cryptic Merle to Merle is the way to go. Yay, yay, yay. That's the decision you need to make for yourself. There is a 4% chance that things might not go the way you want them to. And that's the reason why I believe that the letter A over here, where you have a non-Merle and a Merle, is going to give you the healthiest option. That's an excellent question. So let's jump on it right now, man. The reason that Merles affect hearing and affect eyesight is because the melanin actually creates color, believe it or not. It is affected at the time because the ear needs it, and so do the eyes. The reason I say all that is because I haven't heard of, and if there's a geneticist out there or a doctor or something, please, you're more than welcome here to tell me I'm wrong. But my understanding is that brain cells don't necessarily need melanin. Because of that, I want to take a guess and say that whether you're a Merle or not has nothing to do with whether the pup is aggressive or not. I think it's got more to do with the parent's temperament, maybe even the bloodline they're coming from, and also their environment as to what you're getting. See, Alchemy Kennels, if a pup doesn't show Merle and carries Merle, can it have Merle offspring? Yes, I think I touched up on that. Let me bring up the screen again. So if a dog carries Merle, can it have Merle offspring? Okay, so in this case, if you look at C over here, that Merle was not there. And you actually had a full color non-Merle dog there, okay? Because of this capital letter M, which makes it a dominant M, dominant Merle, there, it can produce. It definitely can produce Merles. I am basing myself off of the books. Based on the books, you're looking at a 50-50 shot. Appreciate the love. And yeah, man, let's take a subscribe break. If you're listening to me and you like the information I'm putting out, you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, fam. You know how this thing works. Next time I drop a video, it's going to give you a notification if you hit that bell. And I might give you some information to put on top of this that's going to get your kennel over the hump. And the answer to that, James, is yes. And this is the reason why I tell people that you need to test. Okay, you need to do genetic tests on your dog to see if they're carrying that MC that I was just talking about, which is the cryptic Merle. So if your dog is a solid color, it should have an MC. Now make sure you check him out all over the place, man, because if he even has blue in a little, I don't know, man, a little speck somewhere in his body, he's got a little speck on there, then believe it or not, he is showing his Merle, and that's considered a full Merle pup. But if you've checked him out from top to bottom and he doesn't have it, and yet he's an aftermath son, then definitely I would get the testing done. You know, it only costs about $150. Yes, it can. Again, I bring you guys back to the MC. The cryptic Merle's over here on the letter C. As you see, he's a tri-dog, but he's carrying that dominant MC. So when bred to a non-Merle, which would be this dog over here in the letter A, you grab this and you breed it to that, it's gonna produce Merle. Let's see. I'm still on the fence on the Merles. Could be an aesthetic thing. Look, man. You know, what can I tell you? I was in the same boat as you. I felt that, you know, when I first got into the breed, Merles weren't even allowed to register, man. And based on the dogs that were out there, it almost seems like they didn't know what they were doing as far as breeding Merles, for the most part, the majority of them. And, you know, I was just turned off by that, because I know that the bully community, you know, and it's not the bully community. I don't want to make it sound like I have something against the bully community. Any breeding community in general, man, the majority of the people that get into breeding is because they want to make money. I mean, we could sit here and say you shouldn't do that, this, that, and the other, but this is the reason why they're doing it. And so, because that is the main thing, the main motivator, that makes it very concerning to me, because it's going to cost you $150 to get this test done. For most people, $150 is worth it in order to know that you're not going to breed Merle. But to some people, you know, it's worth it to not get them tested and breed them. And so I kind of understand where you're coming from. Again, I used to be on the fence as well. What I have learned is that there is a community within the community that are breeding Merles that actually have all sorts of testing going on, man, from OFA, you know, which is your elbows and hips and whatnot, your structure, to genetic testing. And it kind of started to open up my eyes, because people that are breeding non-Merles in general, breeders that are breeding non-Merles in general, they're not genetically testing. It's, you know, this dog with that dog, just make it happen and let's go. You know, what ends up happening is, you know, you may have some sort of heart problem that's popping up and it's genetic, and you guys are not testing. And now you've produced 10 pups that now have a congenital heart problem. And, you know, they're not going to live beyond 4 years old, for example. Then what, you know, and you're out here trying to make a name for yourself. And in 4 years, when you're actually picking up a little steam, you have a wave of 10 people or 8 people coming at you, pissed off at you because you never did a genetic test. Never took your time to just do a simple genetic test. You know, you could do the genetic test and pass that cost to the buyer. So if you were selling your pups to begin with, say at $2,000, and you did $150 DNA test, just sell them for $2,200. I mean, if they're already paying $2,000, they're going to go to $2,200. So that's my recommendation. You know, whether you have a Merle or you don't, and don't do it just for Merles. Do it for your dogs, so you know what you got. If you have a dog that has a particular issue, do you really want to spread that now into your breeding program? If you have a female that has some sort of kidney issues, for example, and it's hereditary with a dominant gene, and she's dominant, why would you want to breed that into your program? You know, breed dogs that are on dialysis or something, you know. It's just beside me. I'm letting you guys know, man, we have the technology. it's really worth it, and it's really going to get your program going in the right direction, man.